Good morning, TwitchCon Amsterdam, and welcome to the LAN stage. My name is Tofu Elliott, and I am joined by the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Hyperia. We've got something quite different, both thematically and in its gameplay, Hyperia.
Oh yeah, it's a game that's not even out technically, and well, some of you might have heard about it, you know, come across it, or maybe have heard about it in a different sense. Marauders, that's what we're going to be playing today, and that might not be familiar, but it's a shooter-loser, very similar to Tarkov, but obviously, you know, it's the same with comparing CSGO and Valorant. In essence, they're exactly the same, because it's a shooter, but realistically, there's so many more different elements, and obviously an entirely different theme.
I mean, look, they haven't paid me to say this, but Tarkov in space does sound better than just Tarkov.
Yeah.
Like, who does it? Just putting stuff in space makes it better. I feel like that's just everyone agrees with that, right? If you disagree, keep it to yourself.
Yeah, and it's not one of those ones where, oh, it's extremely futuristic and they've taken the old theme but put it in space. It's a World War I/World War II base game. You know, some elements of that. So it is really exciting, and some of that is keeping somewhat level to the ground.
Yeah, actually set in 1991, they're going with a diesel punk theme. And basically, this is a universe in which World War I never ended. And so the major parties in the world that were at war in World War I just continued warring for the next 70 or 80 years, which means we've got all of that thematic goodness. I mean, that seems like a weird thing to say about such horrendous times, but you know what I mean. We're all into war games. We've got World War I loot, we've got World War II loot, we've got Vietnam loot, and it's bringing back those old school styles of games with those weapons, with that kind of armor and that kind of gear, but bringing it into space. And it's all diesel punk. I mean, does it get better than that? If you're on stage right now, or if you're sitting down in the LAN zone, try not to shoot your teammates in the back of the head. They will die. They will come down with a light case of death.
Just a slight reminder, do not kill your friends.
It's, you know what? Easier said than done, because it's really hard to tell people apart. And that's one of the things I'm actually curious about, is how teams are going to identify themselves. It's much harder than you think it's going to be. There are AI running around in the raid locations, and there are other players running around as well. And that split second that you take to determine whether or not it's friend or enemy could be the second that loses you your prefrontal cortex. Hey, I think we're ready to go.
Oh.
We are indeed ready to go. Team 17's Marauders. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get excited. This is Marauders, and we're seeing straight off the bat here, this is the first ship, the ship that everyone starts with. It's called the Rust Bucket, and I think you could probably see why.
Yeah, and there's two other ships down the other end as well. Seems like they want to enter the raid location. That's that big little building, the big little building, yes indeed, on the left. But when you see something like that flashing in the distance, that's going to be a ship that you need to take into account. Now one coming up on the left-hand flank. I wonder whether we're going to see one of those early ship engagements, because it's always testing the waters.
Yeah, there are some brilliant mechanics in this game, not just ship battles in terms of your teammate controlling the turret while you drive, but also every ship has emergency escape pods, and you can use those not just to escape your ship, but also to attack and breach other people's ships. You can get into other people's ships by breaching them and then raid their ships. It's absolutely insane. I'm a very, very big fan of this. And this is actually, this location, I believe, is the spaceport. So there are a few different locations in-game. There are some still planned to come. Today, we are going to be seeing the spaceport, the asteroid mine, and the terraformer. Oh, we have one already disabled.
Look at that health on the right hand, bottom right hand side. That's how much HP he's got. Oh my goodness! But because it's a rust bucket, it can't be fully destroyed, if I'm not mistaken. Because it's the starter ship, it's very beginner friendly. You know, of course, you're going to have a tough time with all the new elements, but your beginning ship will never be destroyed. But there they go, and that is the end of the ship.
They've been destroyed by another team, and now they're going to have to abandon ship. They haven't quite figured that out yet.
Or do something. No.
I think we are hearing the comms from the players as well. I love this. I love that everyone's first instinct is, let's shoot the other ships. It's a shooter-looter. There is no loot to be found by destroying other people's rust buckets, but I'm loving it already. And you are starting to get an idea of what this game is offering. I mean, also, let's just take a minute. Look at the backdrops. This is not the only one. The backdrops are actually procedurally generated, and so there's a huge variety. They are absolutely gorgeous. They're one of my favorite things about this game.
It's phenomenal, because that's one of my favorite things about space, is at night looking up, or even in the day, looking up and knowing there's about a billion, more than a billion things going on that I can't even comprehend it in my head. And I feel like they've captured that feeling pretty well in this game, where there's a lot of stuff happening, you're in space, and just looking around is cool enough.
Very curious to see the rate at which players start to pick this game up in terms of how confusing it is. And what we're seeing right now, actually, is... So before we saw people's rust buckets being disabled, this is what happens when they are disabled, because they can't be destroyed entirely. The engine will catch fire. There are fire extinguishers positioned around the ship. You can grab some, put out the fire in your engine. You will regain the use of your beloved rust bucket, and you will be able to continue on your journey.
So you're going to have to be careful if you do that.
You do need to be careful about the noise that you are creating in this game. Oh, and we've got combat. And is that player combat? I can't...
the other one, I'm pretty sure, yeah, but this one is just, that's an NPC, but they're backing down. And
there's food, which replaces some stamina and fatigue, and also gives you a little bit of health. But for that big health gain, you really want to be going to the medical supplies, the bandages, small first aid kits, and just the full first aid kits, which are big, so they do heal you back to full. So it's very, very useful. They did actually kill a player.
Oh, they're struggling. He's managed to get him down either way in the hallway. There's no advancement there.
These are teams of 2 competing over the course of the next hour to determine who can get the most kills in the allotted time period. And the team that does will win a copy of the game and a Marauders t-shirt.
He's already got an M16.
How does he have loot this good this quickly? That commando backpack is insane.
Coins, silver coins, currency, and a lockpick as well. That's going to be useful, because you mentioned the vault earlier. Well, this is what it's used for. You can open a vault, but they've got so much loot already. A gold ring, a silver coin. They're going to be making bank in the shop.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, to open up that vault in the bank, they're going to need something a little bit more than that lockpick. They're going to need to find a blowtorch.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be pretty cool. I want to see someone blowtorch their way into a bank vault.
I feel like we might be on the correct screen for that.
I was going to say, I think we have found maybe the best players we're going to see all day. We might be starting quite strong here. This is actually a collaborative effort with a small team from Leicester in England. Those devs have been an absolute delight to talk to, and we can tell how much they care about this game, how much effort is going into it. And we're going to see our first team make it out of the raid location alive. They're leaving the mine in one of the breach pods, and I doubt they're going to be breaching anyone. They're probably just going to be heading to the exit so that they can confirm their gear, maybe get some of the stuff sold, maybe do a little bit of trading.
It feels like you're in the solar flare right now.
It is gorgeous, isn't it? Every single time I came into a new map.
Space mines.
Wow. Yeah, there are space mines. I was shooting them yesterday. They do explode. Can confirm. I didn't want to fly straight into them.
Neither, mate.
And this is how you exit the arena right now, where they're going. This is the arena exit. This will take you back to the main menu. I love the pacing of this game. It's not continuous action. There's enough of a lull in what happens just to allow you to take a breath and to get scared again.
It's like a horror movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's scary music playing, you think you're in the clear, and all of a sudden, bam, 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 you get slapped from behind.
Or just a single headshot.
Yeah. Bam.
Decapitated, gone, all of your loot. Oh! Oh,
dying words of the player. He's even teabagging him.
Oh my goodness, absolutely phenomenal. On stage at TwitchCon Amsterdam, we have had our first team kill. Oh no, that's me, that's me, that's me. It was too late by then. That is how easy it is, even for these players that we've been praising so much. At least that's definitely not his teammate.
Yeah, that's what, it's a strat on. Oh, and that's the end of his life as well. So all the loot that he's been able to garner now completely gone. And let's actually have a look at what gearing up means. So this is obviously, you see 100K, that's not what you're going to have when you're going to be playing yourself. If you're playing here, yes, you will. But you can take all the loot that you have, an M45. It's mainly very starter guns, 32 APC, 9mm, and 10mm. That's the main amount of armor. But he's actually selling a lot of stuff, even though he's got 100K already.
I've never seen this merchant ship. I never managed to find it in any of my playtesting. I've been so excited about it. That well rod, by the way, I believe that is a self-suppressed pistol. It fires 32 ACP rounds, so definitely quite powerful. And I believe there is also a contract in-game. So in Marauders, you pick up contracts. I mean, gamers in general going to be pretty familiar with this concept, but you pick up different contracts from different factions. That allows you to complete missions, get more loot, and build up your relationship with each of those 3 factions that'll allow you to trade better items. It'll do all the stuff that increasing your faction relationship usually does.
Is it about sort of bringing things back to the faction, or is it more, you know, take down 5 guards, get 5 bits of loot, or do you need to collect things, you know, get to keep them yourself?
You know, it really depends on what the contract is, but in general, you do need to go and achieve some objective, whether that's, you know, I had one that was get 6 kills with the well rod pistol, and I've had them be take out a radio tower or go and find this thing in the mine, and I believe you do have to extract successfully so that you can then claim the reward. It's not
the factions just want you to improve, like as a pirate. They're like, we want you to go out. We challenge you to do your best. Is that a guard? Oh, no.
That's a guard.
Oh no. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Oh no. Speaking of, see a conflict happening. Not anymore. Just kidding.
Nice and straightforward. That'll be one of the AI.
Yeah.
Don't pose too much of a threat.
Oh.
They're a little bit easier. Oh, we've got a bit of a cheekster.
Well, like 2 of them, I can see.
It'll be exciting to see who has the most kills, but at the end of this, of course, the people with the most kills will be winning a copy of the game.
And
a T-shirt.
A T-shirt. Love a good T-shirt. This person, I have to say, has really good aim. Just absolute precision here. Down.
From the waist up there. And I believe, I mean, if we're watching player 1, their teammate just died. That might have been a team kill, to be fair.
Oh, no. What did we just say? What did we just say? We wanted to have one and only team kill the whole time. And I find any game where you can sort of have a ship, upgrade it, play around with it, that kind of thing, just really fun. I get really attached to my ship, and then it ends up getting blown up by another player. So, anyway.
Oh, yeah, that is Marauders. And, of course, in this game, you can use the breach pods to breach another person's ship, kill them, and steal their ship.
But why would you do that? Why would you
brutal.
That's almost like pirate-like of you. Pirates and Marauders?
Extremely pirate-like of you.
I would, if it was me, I would simply be a wonderful little neighbor, and I would just cruise on by, and then I would have no gear, and all the AI would kill me. But it's the, you know, it's the morals of the thing. And I'm seeing that this sort of, I could be wrong here. Am I saying that when you shoot an AI, so take them down, therefore the armor and everything on them is immediately damaged a little bit?
It depends where you shoot them, I think. Okay. But yes, that is how it works. And it is important to remember as well that you can repair items, not while you're in the raid location itself, but back when you're in the main menu. You can go into your gear, you can repair the things that are damaged. Taking it easy, and I think that is sort of representative of high-level gameplay. They're going to be robbing the corpse of another player there. You can tell because they had a captain's key card. Captain's key card, of course, necessary to get back into your ship. That's how you access the airlock through the dock. and you can steal other players' key cards so that you can go back to their dock if you can find it and rob their ship. Now it's about whether or not they can escape with their lives, because they've been here a decent amount of time. Important to remember that you do have a limited oxygen supply. You are in outer space. Each time you launch into a sector, you have 25 minutes to find a raid location, dock, get in, loot, and get out alive. Exit the sector.
They're not interested.
Research,
Oh, enemy.
Yep.
See, that was exactly, it's one of those things. It was coming around the same angle as his friend.
And he's dead.
And he's dead.
I love the casual nature of these comms. They're simultaneously having so much fun with it, but also communicating extremely effectively.
And I see he's picked up the gun there that is in much worse condition than his original one, which I'm guessing is he's planning on repairing that later, or he's just quite confident with.
Yeah, must be. Wow, that is a weapon and a half right there. What is his teammate carrying?
What is that?
I'm not even certain what that is. That's oh
my goodness.
Oh god.
That.
Check out the leaderboard and see who managed to get the most kills in our first Marauders session of the day. And there it is.
W1K, absolutely leagues ahead. Excellent work. And then we've got, I mean, the top three, honestly, are pretty close. But W1K with 29 kills is ranked #1. Well, I'm very excited to be here with the lead developer of the game, Cameron. Hi, Cameron. Thanks so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
It's been an amazing day.
And yeah, so do you want to just briefly sort of explain what it is that you do as lead developer?
So we're a small team from the UK. So essentially, you know, that gives us many roles. We get to be kind of agile with the development. So I'm currently in control of designing the art for the game. And that spreads all the way from weapons balancing all the way through to how a level will look, which is a fun job, especially for a game like this, which is, you know, heavily inspired by the diesel punk genre, which is something that we're really passionate about in the studio. And then we have the guys at home, you know, coding away, keeping the servers up right now.
Yeah,
so
working remotely right now. Heroes, absolute heroes. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. But obviously, this is an FPS game at its heart. So that comes with the caveats of, like, you know, making sure that the tactical element remains in the game, and a lot of development has gone into that. But as you may have told from some of the trailers, a lot of the game is in space. With their spaceship combat, which is what we like to say is a 30-70 split. 30% of the time you'll be flying around in space, engaging others, breaching the ships. 70% of the other time you'll be defending within your ships and boarding these giant space stations.
Yeah.
Going looking for the loot. So that's the kind of like the aesthetic, the main aesthetic of the game.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Yeah, you mentioned diesel punk. Would you like to sort of explain what diesel punk aesthetic might be for people who aren't familiar with the term?
So it's like probably the dad of steampunk, the more serious, gritty version. Its main aesthetic actually comes from inspirations of World War I.
Okay.
But it actually really exploded when anime took those kind of its aesthetic and put it into anime such as like Jinro, Cowboy Bebop, which is a used future.
Love.
That used future look where, you know, everything, because you're in the future, it doesn't necessarily mean you're rich and everything's clean.
Yes. Yeah.
Everything runs on diesel and is chugging away. So that's kind of what we wanted to draw inspiration from. The ships are made out of bolts and rivets and metal sheets. They're not made out of lasers or anything like that.
Yeah, no like sleek lens flare and all white everything and that kind of thing.
That's correct.
Yeah, I love that.
And that bleeds into the weaponry itself, the diesel punk. You'll notice our weapons go all the way from World War I up to Vietnam in terms of the era. So you'll recognize some of them, like relics, so to speak.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I love that. Yeah, I saw a couple of guns like that when people were playing. I was like, wait, I recognize that from like historical games I've played before. Wait a minute.
Correct.
Yeah, no, I love sort of world building and game design, that kind of thing. You can really tell there is like a passion and a heart and a lot of thought behind the ones here. The breaching mechanic, they can just like hop on your ship. Like, what is that exactly?
Yeah, so obviously you're in space. We had to develop a method to be able to actually get into other people's ships.
Yeah.
And we
launch stuff out the cannon through the window.
It's a little bit inspired by CFEs, I suppose, like loading yourself into the cannon.
Yeah.
But this is actually a controllable ship. And it came from us watching this amazing cinematic Astartes on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
It's basically the Warhammer 40k universe. And in this initial episode, the Space Marines just breach through the hull, and we're like, that is the coolest thing we have ever seen, and that has to be in the game. So it's one of our inspirations. And it was a good problem-solving thing, because we already started making the game. We're like, well, that's a good way of solving the how do I get on someone's ship? So,
Exactly, yeah, and it's so much better than just like a traditional like you walk through your block and it's there instantly. You just teleport. We don't know. Like again, it's just that like that care and that heart. That's so awesome. I had a question that I mentioned to Elliot earlier, and I was wondering if you might know. When it comes to the raid areas at the moment, with the loot locations and that kind of thing, is the loot in the same place every single time in the same areas, or is it like different and that kind of thing? Or?
So we have a hybrid. So the space itself is actually procedural. So it should be varied every time you go in.
Awesome.
But the raid locations themselves have been designed so players can learn the map. But obviously the lootables themselves, where you get the weapons, the armor, the money, there's a bit of RNG involved in that. So every time you go into a raid, you'll find something different in the bank vault, so to speak.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But it should always be worth something.
Yeah, no, that's good. Make it worth people as well. We saw the biscuit tin earlier. Very excited about the biscuit tin. And do you have any sort of things that, maybe without giving too much away, is there anything in particular that you're really excited to sort of continue working on in development as things go on past the beta and that kind of thing? Is there any stuff?
So we're becoming an early access. So that means we'll be putting a lot of content into the game over the next year. Guilds, pirate guilds especially, really leaning into that pirate theme that we have.
Yes.
Because right now, obviously, people are just noticing that it's in space, but they're not necessarily knowing that they're pirates. So we want to, all the way from having skull and crossbones onto your ship, up to be able to create a guild and have a party of friends together and wearing matching swashbuckling outfits.
I love that. Yeah, it is like captain and crew and that kind of thing. And of course, it's called Marauders. And I think the word Marauders has been used so often in like modern media that people aren't necessarily familiar. It basically means like pirate, as far as I'm aware.
That's correct.
Yeah, and I just love space pirate stuff, like you said, like Cowboy Bebop style vibe. So it's really, really exciting to see. And Guild sounds amazing because it's like it's a collaborative game, because I think if you queue in solo, do you still get paired with the person online? Like obviously if playing it in early access.
So we support like stranger crews, we call them, where you create a crew and just let anyone join in.
Okay.
And but again, there can be mutinies, so watch out for that. There is friendly fire is on.
We have seen some havoc with friendly fire.
Yes.
Everyone, please open comms, be communicative with your partner so they don't ice you accidentally.
Yeah. But we did design the game so solo play is viable as well. So you'll be going against, matchmaking is completely open. It's not skill-based matchmaking either, so anything can happen. So you can go in a solo and breach a ship and has a crew of 4. But the great thing is, because we're not using friendly indicators, you can kind of blend in and maybe get the upper hand on them.
Sneaky, yeah. I hadn't even thought of that. We'd seen a lot of sort of people hesitating and jumping because they thought that their friend was an enemy, and I hadn't thought of the reverse, where you think that an enemy is your friend. That's very clever. I love that. And is there any, you mentioned Sea of Thieves earlier, and this has that. Is there any sort of like comms between teams where like you can hear the enemy's comms at any point, or is that not the case?
We currently don't have VoIP open, but only when you're on your own crew. You can talk to your own crew at the moment,
Okay, that makes sense. That's fair. Honestly, sometimes I prefer that. I'm like, listen, we have some secrets, okay, about how many deaths I have. Let me vent about that in my own space. And is there sort of, you mentioned diesel punk and that kind of thing, and sort of the pirates and all that. Is there any sort of lesser known diesel punk influences that are showing up? You mentioned that animatic, which sounds really cool.
Yeah, Startus one. I mean, there's probably one that's probably well known. That's Wolfenstein.
Okay.
Which is probably the biggest game that's lent into that punk genre.
Yeah,
but outside that, it's actually quite an untapped element that most people just lean into steampunk.
Yeah, because it's easier. It's more recognizable, I feel like, and looking at diesel punk. Like, I love it, but it is like quite gritty and that kind of thing, and that's not for everybody, but I think it works incredibly well with what Marauders is doing. Yeah. And there's still like a charm to the game and everything. It isn't all like doom and gloom or anything. Yeah. And so what is it that goes into making sure this game is balanced but still relatively, I don't know if I'll call the game difficult, but it's like, realistically merciless. Like if you die, you're dead, and your things are with you, and your friend can't come get you. So what is it that goes into making sure that kind of stuff is like balanced enough to be challenging, but not like overly frustrating?
We draw, we obviously there's other games in this market, in the survival extraction market, like great games like Escape from Tarkov and Hunt Showdown, and it will be like an ongoing balancing element forever, But what we like to lean on is rarity. So if something is a beast of a weapon, rather than necessarily nerfing it, we'll make it rarer. It'll give the players something to drive for, like to strive for necessarily to You know, for instance, our capital ship, which is a rare raid location that only spawns maybe 1 out of 20 raids, has all the boss guys on it, and they drop the best armor.
That makes sense.
We're more leaning into that rather than necessarily making something nerfed or buffed.
Look, yeah. So with this, is there the main goal of this raid area? Is it to get to the vault, or is there other things you can do?
I mean, obviously, killing players should always be your priority.
They're doing great.
I just saw an arm fly off there.
Yeah.
But the vault is, yes, definitely, will be the goal of most players, and that will be the choke point of the map.
Okay, so it's sort of, I can imagine you might just congregate with a bunch of other players at the vault because they're all trying to get to it, right?
We've seen lots of cheeky tactics in the alpha, even to the point where closing the vault and hiding inside it and waiting for people to come along.
Oh my goodness, that would be absolutely so. Well, if you're listening and you're playing, absolutely do not do that. We definitely would not want to see that. That would not be kind of hilarious.
Wink, wink.
A wink, wink.
Just fighting AI right now, and they might have found a decent bit of loot here. What's this in the oh no, never mind. It's just metal scrap. Might not seem that decent, but can be used to build gear, can be used to even build ships. And it is a huge advantage to upgrade your ship, because we've been seeing almost everyone in the game flying around in rust buckets the entire time, and that's not ideal.
Not the greatest.
Oh my! Yes! Oh! We are seeing some high-level gameplay right here. 520 kilobytes using the blowtorch to break into the bank vault. I've never seen this before. I'm extremely excited. He's just thrown the blowtorch through the ground.
How big is it? Ooh, there's something in there.
Hang on a second. He ran away too quickly. He has a cardboard box there, and it's got a crate in it. What is that, a ration crate?
Ration has to be,
yeah. It's a ration crate. Couldn't see it behind the TwitchCon logo in the top right then.
It'd be better if it was a cookie crate.
Honestly, a biscuit tin, I feel like, is the sort of loot you're looking for inside a vault.
And the ship in the distance as well. Oh, it's just so scenic. I mean, we can get back into the action. We actually have a pistol here, so let's see whether it's just the pistol's not really being viable. It seems pretty decent. There's no recoil. Probably doesn't do a lot of damage, and that's where the problem is going to always lie with pistols. You're not supposed to have an insane pistol that's really viable. It needs to be one of those last-ditch efforts, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I mean, look, the pistol, perfectly usable, especially against AI, he says.
Wait. I love that the entire LAN area is filled with people wanting to try out Marauders. I feel like we've got a banger on our hands here. One to stay for the ages.
We are here playing Marauders all day long today, and it has been an absolute blast so far. My name's Tofu Elliott, and I am joined by Hypheria. Oh, no, Hypheria is gone, and he has been replaced by none other than Psycho Ghost. Now, you've been playing Marauders for a while, and you've been playing today as well. How did you get into Marauders in the first place?
In the first place, well, the first time I saw it actually where you could back the game, and I saw it and was like, this looks pretty amazing. So I gave it a go. We played the first alpha, the first betas, and of course, back in the days, everything was rather bare bone, but now I'm following the development since today, where we have now the beta soon in a couple days, and they made some amazing progress. So
it's been fantastic. Actually, that's really interesting, because obviously I've only seen it in its current build. So
okay.
What kind of progress has been made? What's like the thing that stands out to you most?
So probably since the last builds, the biggest changes are they have added 2 new maps, big ones like the Terraformer, also the Merchant Ship, in a rather short time. And I think they're really on a good way, because I love absolutely these extraction looter shooters. And there's now actually quite a couple out there, and they're doing, compared to the other ones, a really good job.
That's really good to hear. I mean, we've spoken a lot to the dev team since we arrived here, and they've been just wonderful. Really, really seem like they care about the game. They seem really attentive. And even the leaderboard feature for this LAN competition that we're having, that didn't exist before 2 days ago, when they found out that we were doing a competition, and they found out the way that we were planning to do it, which was to have people sell all their loot and just see who had the most money at the end of the hour. And Cameron went away and he built the leaderboard into the game in 2 days just so that we could have people compete for kills. I think that really does go to show the dedication.
That's impressive. They're very dedicated, so I know them already a little bit in person since we're working on a few things together, and I have to say, the devs and also Team 17, they're very wholesome. It's a nice experience, I tell you that.
What drew you to Marauders in the first place? You mentioned before that you played a little bit of Tarkov in the past.
Well, Tarkov is nice, right? I think it's a good game, but you have to dedicate a lot of time to it to be really good at it, right? And Marauders is a little bit more accessible. So I don't want to say it's easy, because it's definitely not. It's still more for a hardcore audience, I would say. But I can just play it for a couple days and I know what's going on. And if I play Tarkov for a couple days, I don't even find the extraction. So at least that was my first Tarkov experience, that I died to the map timer because I could not find the extraction.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, very high skill ceiling comparison.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, well, at least the learning curve is very steep for Tarkov. This is a bit more easy to get in and play, and we've been having great fun with it already.
I watch streamers usually on YouTube, because, you know, I'm working while they're streaming, unfortunately. But, you know, and catching their clips on Twitch. And just to see them pick it up was great. Aqua FPS, amazing. And I have to big shout out to Omid, Sterdeki, and Zichum for jumping in the alpha. And yeah, like you said, they did 80 hours. Sterdeki did a subathon where he was inside a breacher pod for, I think it was 80 hours. And
my goodness.
He fully immersed himself. He used the airlock within the breacher pod. He had to depressurize oxygen. You know, and he may have lost his mind a little bit at some points. But it was amazing to see, because I'm already watching these, you know, people for years at this point. So to see them,
and then to see them playing your creation.
I didn't think it was possible. I was literally logging in and just see them all. Yeah, amazing.
That's beautiful.
And we've had some monster winners today. Even the first round we had an 85 kill. I mean, that's amazing. And in 1 hour to kill 85 people is insane. And
menacing.
then, yeah, all day we've had some people who just understand the mechanics straight away. They're breaching, they're wiping squads. Because it's something you're always concerned about, you know. What about that solo versus crew experience? What does that mean for the game? And obviously we've made sure there's no friendly indicators. So solos can slip in and out of fights and cause confusion.
Yeah.
Like, is that you? Is that you? You know? And obviously friendly fire is on. So there is a lot of team killing going on. But that's
funny.
It's important to keep the solo experience alive. So, you know, that's the way it is. So seeing that actually happen in practice today is great as developers, because it means they were doing an okay job.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, I'm someone who really, like, especially if I've got some good headphones on, and with the sound design that you guys have, the footsteps, the fear of being in space, the existential dread that comes with that, and knowing that you're going to lose all your loot if you die, I'm afraid. But I've learned very quickly to be more afraid of my teammates than of most of the enemies, because they're more likely to shoot me in the face.
Stop shooting me, please.
Please stop shooting me. But that's one of the great things about being solo, because it's not just the confusion, but also because the game is gritty, because you've got this, you know, it's not Call of Duty, right? You can't just take 8 bullets to the chest and run around like nothing happened, right? You die when you get shot. You can wipe squads, right?
Yes, you can.
Well, couple of well-placed headshots, bam, doesn't matter what they've got.
Yeah, I mean, we're running that standard 3.5 times damage multiplier on the head. So if you're clicking heads, you know, it's your battle, you won. So I mean, that's very important that people know that the game is lethal. It keeps that intensity high.
Yeah.
And you feel that hardcore tactical element to the game. You're taking your corners carefully. But also you're sprinting in when you know you've got the one-up on them, getting from behind them. So that's what the game's all about.
Yeah, I genuinely, we saw someone earlier, there was 2 teammates, they were moving really well together, quite quietly, conservatively, checking their corners, and I see, you know, the back player has his teammate in sight, they're both looking through a door, he turns to the right, there's another person, he turns back, and then he double takes, and he's like, wait, and there's just that second of, hang on, wait, but you're right next to me, but... Okay, I'm shooting you now, but the chaos of that moment of not knowing, and also knowing in your mind that I have to make this decision quickly or I'm going to die. It's just so funny.
Especially when you start breaching with your team.
Yeah.
If you know, we've seen plays of people descending upon ships, 4 breacher pods hitting the ship at the same time, tactical, like all in, and then as soon as you breach in, you're a little bit disorientated.
Yeah.
You've just punched through a hole, and like, okay, I'm in a bedroom. I'm in the engine room, and then the enemy team are defending their ship, and you're like, is that you? Yeah, I love that part. It's my favorite part of the game, and that's when, you know, diving into the cosmetic system and deciding a uniform for your team is probably an important element to the game.
Yeah.
We're all going to wear yellow. We're all going to use this helmet. And that's what I want to lean into that more. I want to have more cosmetics in the game so people can identify themselves and maybe, within a second they can identify their friends.
Yeah, I really like that. I mean, when we were playing, obviously, when we arrived on that first day and we were doing setup and you came over and we were like, oh, it's Marauders. Can we play? And you were like, yeah, we've got some set up. And we went over and played, and the first thing we realized is it's really hard to know who your teammates are. And we were looking, but we couldn't unlock any cosmetics yet. And so we developed this strategy of crouching when we saw each other, right? It's like, crouch, 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 crouch. Is that you? Squat. Squat squad. Squat squad. Okay, all right.
I think, is this, we have Tweak here?
We've got Tweak.
Okay, I mean, Tweak, again, another streamer I would watch, Tarkov player, knows exactly what he's doing during the alpha, coming in hot in the beta, playing with Pep here. We have him on the stage here at TwitchCon, and they're up against, actually, Gibbons, another deadly, player. And we also have Legendary, the Warzone player I mentioned earlier, and they're all descending on the space station. So, normally we're hoping, because the matchmaking is random, you'd have a variation of different players.
Yeah.
But this session is going to be particularly hot, because we're talking about players with KDs of up to 5+ here.
Wow.
So we're going to have some very high-level plays this evening. Especially Tweak. He knows his, you can see the movement.
Yeah.
He's using his peaked advantage. His teammates covering him. They're looking for the headshots. Unfortunately, they can't quite deal with this recall. This weapon is one of the basic weapons. So he'll be looking to swap this one out for something with a bit more recoil control. But
You've got to love the MP4.
You got to love it. The sound is crisp.
And, do you know what? One of the questions we had earlier from Psycho Ghost, I think, was, as we see the maps expand, we're seeing slightly bigger and bigger ones as we go. Is there any chance that we're going to see weapon attachments, scopes and sights?
So as you can see right now in this inventory, we've got our first MP40 stock attached to the back of there. And we're introduced more extended magazines. We've got these big drum mags for the Thompson. And I'm telling you right now, if you want that 1950s robbing a bank fantasy.
Pinstripe suits in-game soon? When?
Hey, confirm it. Let's do it right now. I'll make sure I can get that in.
Yes, all right.
But yeah, the drum mag is a great attachment. We've got variation stocks. And, we really like Iron Sights being the reason why people are getting close and personal in the game. It's a CQB, it's close quarters battle game.
Yeah.
But we've now introduced the Terraformer, which is a lot larger map. So we're now considering maybe bringing some scopes in the game for the rifles, for the semi-auto rifles, just to have them back into the meta a little bit. Because it's a slower fire weapon, obviously it's going to be left behind in these close quarter engagements. Yeah. So maybe we want to bring in a secondary. There's a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
So possibly during early access, we'll be looking into trying out some of that stuff.
Will we see the M1 Garand in-game?
Oh, I mean, we have to, don't we?
Once we nail the ping. I think we absolutely have. That ping, that is just OG wargaming right there. My childhood was that ping. It's so satisfying.
Yeah. We do have the weapon modeled and ready to go, so it's just about that sound design.
They're dead, dude. There, Jesus, so many dead people.
I can hear a little bit of their comms, and I think we are going to go and listen to their comms a little bit louder in a minute.
Oh, I'm being shot at. Down below, down below. He's like in the doorway. Just ran back a little bit. He has a shotgun though. He's lit up, but. Yeah, right side. Oh, it's a bot. Dead. Yeah. I have no fucking clue, brother. Oh, true, actually. Yeah, there definitely is pods, just where would you find them is the question. I don't know, do we maybe try and make our way back to our ship? Oh, there might be people here, actually. This is the bar. Okay. Oh, yeah. One dead. Yeah. pushing in this side room just for cover. I think if that was a player, that was a "is that you" moment. Shoutouts, John B. Yeah, I just killed another bot. Yeah, sorry, I got a bit distracted there. Yeah, let me just check. Is this a bot? Yeah, it is, I think. Points of point, baby. Lots of dead shit here, be careful.
It's always exquisite listening to those comms, and it is, of course, an entirely different voice. I've dragged Elliot out and thrown him away because I want a chance to talk here as well and, you know, get a few questions going about this game. And I'm going to start off with the beta. What are you looking to test?
So this is a big, like, regional technical test, technically. And we'll be looking to reach out for new regions we haven't supported in the alpha. You know, we'll be having Brazil is obviously something we've been looking at. You know, we're having servers in Japan, which we're really excited about. It's really cool. South Korea. We had some people reaching out during the alpha, like, I want to play South Korea. So we'll be looking to support those new regions. And obviously, Eastern Europe, you know, we'll have a nice new data center set up in Sweden. And hopefully that will serve those people well.